Algorand and some other cryptos are just kind of in their own world. And then you got the rest of the EVM world where which is seems like 90% of all crypto is there and it's being interoperable and faster. You
Yep.
know, the optimisms and all of that is just scaling up the speed, which is what most people are looking for. So it makes sense that you guys are like, okay, we'll just move, over into a different space, which I don't think is a problem at all.
Yeah,
So,
and I want to be clear. This is
yeah.
not that we're not going to ever be on Algorand. We really want to. I love their technology. I love everything about what they're doing. It's just we had to take a step back when we started kind of losing those resources and that
Yep.
connection, and they were doing their own thing, and I didn't want to, rock their boat too much while they were trying to sort out some things. So we
With the
just took a
tiny it
step
was
back
at
and
the
kept
my
pushing forward.
algo hack and
Yeah,
all of that was happening.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they still got a few things to figure out, slowly but surely. I think it's
Hmm.
happening because the tech is amazing, but gotta keep it pushing if you need to.
Yeah,
Uh
absolutely.
about the adapt app some more. What are all the coins or tokens that you can send or receive over there?
Ooh, too many to list.
Too
I would
many.
say
Okay,
there's
that's
yeah,
good.
there's at least 80 of them on there,
Excellent.
between both blockchains.
I like that. So we're gonna have to definitely test that out over there. Okay, so the Adapt exchange. Can you talk more about what's going on with the exchange part of Adapt?
Yeah, absolutely. And this kind of ties into it as well. Is the next step for Adapt itself, on top of the affiliate program, is going to be an integrated wallet based on smart accounts. Smart accounts, the new technology, a new protocol that's come out on the EVM as well,
Wow.
which is going to allow us to integrate an internal wallet inside of Adapt that is not set up like a traditional wallet. You still
Yeah.
will get issued your own wallet, public and private key, but it'll work with a smart contract. So the smart contract will actually act on behalf of your traditional wallet, which will allow us to implement some really cool security features,
Mm.
such as blocking dusting attacks, allowing people to set up triggers for their wallet if any funds move out. A lot of
Wow.
different things that we can really go through that kind of mimic some of the things that you used to with traditional finance in their fraud protection. So, um,
Mm.
moving from that into the exchange, our exchange is going to be sort of in two faucets, right? So you got the peer-to-peer portion that is more direct. So with Adapt, it's more about sending funds. Like I said, like you'd be using sort of a Venmo for it, either pay somebody or just make a quick
Mhm.
payment or whatever. Where the peer-to-peer exchange portion of it is more of a hey, I have this particular asset and I want to trade it for this asset under these terms.
Mm.
Right now, and I'm sure there are some things out there that utilize escrows and things like that where it makes it a little more secure to do that. But right now, it's kind of a trust method for most people because
Yeah.
most people don't know where to go. Like for
No.
instance, I couldn't name one place right now to tell you where to go to do it securely. But if you and I wanted to exchange funds, like an actual exchange, we'd basically just be trusting each other. Hey, I'm going to send this to you. I
Yeah.
hope you send it back, man. Be a good guy. Don't rob me. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
so we're creating that platform that can allow that to happen, where it's maybe you know the person, maybe you don't. Doesn't matter. Where I can post up certain assets, and I can tell you, post up also what I'm looking for in return, and you can either fill that order or we can do custom orders as well.
Mm.
So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is we realize that there is a need for things. Well, there's a need for central exchanges, whether people know it or not, or willing to admit it. There is a need
There
for it,
is.
at least at this time. There definitely is. We just need them to be on the up and up and ethical.
Yes.
Um, so what we wanted to do is take some of that. What are people using central exchanges for? Uh, you know, trading is
Yep.
the biggest, probably the biggest, on ramping and off ramping, and then making trades. And there's a huge market out there for actual trading crypto. And I do understand this. You look at some aspects of it, you're looking at the technology of blockchain. You got some people that are looking in DeFi to buy and hold and do what they need to do in their decentralized wallet. But there is a huge market for people that just trade,
Yeah,
similar to
like
like the stock market.
futures and all of those
It,
options. Mhm.
Exactly, just like you would do on the stock market. There are people that just sit there and trade all day or during the weeks or whatever. I myself was a big trader in the stock market for many years. So I recognize this. So I said, well, what can we do to mimic that and hit that and tap that market, but make it decentralized?
Mm.
Because that's a big problem with centralized exchanges is they're housing everybody's funds together, using hot wallets with keys that are multi-sig keys that are owned, held by people in the business, and
KYC, yeah, all of that.
all of this
Mhm.
garbage. So we said, what can we do to kind of mimic that, make it decentralized? And that's what we're doing. So we're going to be leveraging other dexes. So you look at Uniswap or
Mhm.
Pancake Swap and Sushi Swap and all of those on top of our own internal dexes that will do some market making and look for best prices and other things. So when you make that trade, it's going to check all these dexes and make the swap on that particular dex with order booking, with market orders, with a lot of the things that you're used to. Now, the only thing that we're likely not going to bring in anytime soon are things like margins and that kind of thing, because when you're
That's a
dealing with that,
yeah.
you're lending out people money, and you have, there's a whole lot of legal stuff that comes involved. Not only that, but a whole lot of risk.
Yeah, you got SEC going, "Hey, what y'all doing?"
Yeah, yeah,
Especially if you in the US, gotta be
yeah,
careful. Um,
exactly.
yeah, that makes sense. So that's dope. It's like y'all building a DEX aggregator as well, essentially. And
Exactly.
I use some DEX aggregators, and they actually do help you get a better price. So I know people that do trade are always looking for better entries and things of that nature. Makes a lot of
Yep.
sense.
And a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of it is the user experience and interface too. People get used to that. That's why if you notice, if you go on to a lot of these central exchanges, their interface mimics things like Scott Trade and TD Ameritrade.
Yes.
They're almost identical to them because that's what people are used to. And that's what I was getting back to, circling back to adapt. People get used to that kind of interface and that kind of interaction, which we recognize and said, let's build our platform after that.
Oh, that's smart. I like that. Okay. So let's slowly start to close out. And can you talk a little bit more on your roadmap or anything else that you haven't already mentioned that you would like to mention or to dive in deeper?
Yeah, I do. So
Excellent.
if you do head over to our corporate website, which is affinityinc.tech, you can
Okay.
see everything that we're building right there on the front page. Is about I think I just updated it a couple days ago, about
Okay.
5 or 6 different items of highlights. A couple things. One, I'll jump into something that we have talked about or mentioned in the past. I don't remember if you and I had talked about it, and then I'm
Yep.
going to talk about something that I haven't mentioned on your show yet.
Excellent.
Um, so we have a simple diversification platform that we're also going to be developing. Which, think about that in the sense of how a mutual fund works or anything like that.
Mm,
So we're developing a series of smart contracts that aggregate a number of different assets together, depending, they'll be all be weighted differently depending on quote unquote risk level.
okay.
Again, I want to warn everybody, everything to do with crypto is risky. So there is
Everything.
so there is, when we talk about lower risk or higher risk, it's all risk. But we're going to put those assets together in different weighted levels, and a user can come along and say, take their stable coin or their Binance or their Ethereum, enter into one of these risk levels, risk profiles, and it will automatically diversify into all of these assets. And you can track them all as one asset. And then when you're ready to exit your position, you'll simply just click withdraw. It'll exit back to your stable coin or whatever you entered with, and you'll
Mm,
take your profits or your losses or whatever you ended up with, hopefully profits, right?
hopefully,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah,
so
it's
this
like
will
an
be a way for
ETF
people to
kind of.
diversify. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
of
we can't call it that again,
course.
because but if you look at that idea of an ETF, uh, yeah, there you go.
Makes sense.
So
Yeah.
be
Okay.
on the lookout for that. There's some information on our website about it, but we're going to also be building that platform out. I think that's going to be huge for this next bull
I
run. There's
think
going to be a
so.
lot of people that want to diversify and maybe just don't know how, or a lot of people that just don't want to hold multiple assets in their wallet and have to track all of them.
Yeah.
Uh, so this is
Yeah.
going to be great. This will actually work out really well for the Affinity token as well. Uh, Before I get into the last thing, I do want to touch one more. We talked about the Affinity token and passive income. I want to, mention a little bit about that.
For sure.
So we are a token on the Binance Smart Chain. Right now, we are still a tax token. 4% on the buy, 15% on the sell, but that is going to be reduced down to 9% any day now.
Okay.
And then we're going to be reducing that down again to match the 4% fairly shortly after. Trying to
So
reduce it. High tax.
4% in and 4% out eventually.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Right now it's 4 in, 15 out, 4 in, 9 out, probably within the next couple days or a few days right after the mobile app is released. And by the way, that's the first time I mentioned it. So anybody that's watching this,
Yes.
now
Got
you
the
know.
alpha. Yeah.
So high tax tokens are just, they're difficult. They're a thing of the past. But in order to have any kind of passive income, you have to have some sort of a fee in order to reflect that back onto the users. So what we
Agreed.
do is we give pretty much all of it back. I think it's like almost just about 90% of it goes back as BUSD, pegged ADA, or Affinity, whichever two you want to choose, or you can go 100% into one to get that passive income. It is based on volume, so keep that in mind. If you do enter and you take a position in Affinity, and it is based on volume, so without that volume of fees going in and out, unfortunately, it's going to remain a little low.
For sure.
So, any questions on that in the future? Anybody reach out, let me know. To move on to the big item that we discussed a few weeks ago on our Affinity Friday, that is kind of game changing for us. We announced that we will be developing a Affinity Layer 2 blockchain built on EVM.
Oh, okay.
And the primary purpose of this chain is to kind of facilitate everything that we're doing and make all of these products native, while also being able to bridge them over to other chains easier, using that layer 0 omni chain and other things that we're looking at for protocols that'll make it easier for us to do so. We realize that we're hitting a lot of walls, right? No matter whose blockchain you're on, if you are innovative enough and trying to change the space enough, you're eventually going to hit walls in the technology, because they didn't build their blockchain for you, right? They didn't know what you were going to build. They weren't looking ahead to what was in your head. So there are going to be challenges in trying to overcome that. So we were hitting that with a few of these chains saying, hey, this is what we want to do, but we can't make it happen because it's not natively built into their blockchain.
Makes sense.
So the idea isn't for us to launch another layer 2 or another chain that's going to house a bunch of other tokens and let people deploy all over it and just try to, whatever. Yes, we will have a chain that's going to allow that type of thing to happen. But we're going to be building a network of side chains to do different things, such as data storage, one for a POS, and then one for our main chain to make a lot of that type of technology happen. When it comes to POS systems, like you said, this is one of the areas that we would strongly want to go into. A lot of these companies don't want to be on a public chain.
No.
There's no privacy, right? There's no certain protections to protect assets, certain security measures. We can build this
trade
into
secrets and all kind of things of that nature. Yeah.
Exactly. If I'm a small business, I don't necessarily want somebody to see every transaction that's coming in and out of my business. That's not how the real world works. It's great, transparency is great, but not for a business. No. At least a private business anyway. Publicly traded is a whole nother thing. So we recognize this again, and we want to build a chain. You have private chains out there like Murano, and they're great, but they kind of take it to an extreme, and for that reason,
they're getting what's going on.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of heat from a lot of companies and countries and a lot of entities. So what we're doing is building it. It's basically going to be a private chain with some privacy aspects set up specifically for POS systems and for businesses to run that kind of thing as a side chain to our public chain. And then one last thing I do want to mention about that as well is we are going to also be allowing companies through our platform, through our interface, to launch their own private chain. So if there's a company out there that maybe doesn't have the resources, the know-how, or whatever it may be, but they want to utilize blockchain technology, they will be able to launch side chains off of our layer 2, utilizing our infrastructure.